Yo, everybody, back at it once again. Favorite entrepreneur, your boy, official Tyree Samuels. And what we're going to be doing again, once again, we're going to be talking about a setup that I actually took from the previous week. Also a setup you guys had advantage of if you were in my free Telegram chat. I'll show you guys how to be able to get started with all that and how to be able to see the market how I see it. I'll see you guys on the next clip. Peace. Yo, back at it once again, everybody. Favorite entrepreneur, your boy, official Tyree Samuels, right? Now, before y'all go any further, y'all already know the routine. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, right? If you're not currently a subscriber to the channel, please go ahead and do that. You're playing yourself. Let me get you guys to go ahead and hit that like button, right? And then don't forget the thumbs up, please. You're already on the page. Just go ahead and help your boy out. Now, today we're going to be picking back up where I left off on my last video, as you guys will be able to see it tagged up here for USDJPY, right? So that's actually going to be a video that I was talking about for the first time. I'm about to now start adding videos to where I'm going over my markups, and the trade ideas actually sent out to my free Telegram chat. So as I said in the last video, I'm not going to be doing too much more talking. I explained all that stuff in the first video, so make sure y'all go check that out. Now we're going to go ahead and get directly into the action. As the thumbnail said, you guys, we actually caught about 160 pips on Eurocad, okay? 160 pips on Eurocad. And this is something I want to be able to go over with you guys. So what I'm actually start doing is I'm going to create a confirmation checklist for you guys, so you guys are actually able to see the different confirmations I look for. And maybe it's something you can add to your personal trading style, okay? So for those of you guys that do not know, I basically trade two different strategies. I trade a strategy called the DeLorean, and I trade, it's not a strategy, a concept called smart money concepts, okay? I incorporated those together. We made a baby, and the baby is called Tyree Samuels, right? Now, the thing I'm going to do is I don't want to be able to touch my markup, even though this trade idea is pretty much already done. So I'm basically going to go ahead and pull this up with a different data feed so you guys can actually see it from scratch. Now, the thing I want to be able to do is get rid of all that. So the thing I want to be able to do is, let me make sure these look the same. Yeah, they look the same. All right, so the thing I want to be able to do is, first off, I want to be able to go ahead and hit this rewind tool. If you guys are not aware of the rewind tool, please make sure you guys go ahead and tap into the video I have right here. That's going to be titled How to Be Able to Use the Replay Tool. You guys need to take advantage of that. That's the best way to backtest, okay? So with that being said, let me actually take it a step further. We're going to be bam right here with it, okay? So I'm doing this because at the time I was looking at the setup, this is how the market looked, okay? So in a real-time situation, this is exactly how the market looked. So let me go ahead and type out the confirmations we're about to look for, guys. I want you guys to take a screenshot of this, okay? We need to know the trend, okay? After I know the trend, I want to know, did we have an LQ sweep? LQ sweep stands for liquidity sweep. Liquidity sweep, okay? I also want to know, do we have divergence? All right. On top of the divergence, are we in the extremes? I'll explain what the extremes mean. Number 5, institutional candle. All right. So for those of you guys that do not know, these are going to be all the confirmations that I look for. I'm actually going to go ahead and save this so I can just throw it on a chart for future videos. Give me 1 second. All right, bet. So basically, these are going to be all the confirmations that I look for. So let's go over each confirmation step by step so you guys understand exactly what I'm referencing, okay? So the first confirmation I'm talking about is we want to be able to identify the trend of the market, right? So the trend of the market, make that a little bit smaller. So the overall trend of the market, okay? So for me, if you guys do not know, whenever I'm usually looking at setups, I personally like to be able to view the majority of my setups from the 1 hour. I know a lot of people like to do the top-down analysis, the weekly, monthly, daily. I don't necessarily trade like that. From the 1 hour, I can see exactly what I need to see, and then I can start moving up time frames from there. So the overall trend of this market is obviously going to be a downtrend. Okay. How do I know that? This was the last high. Okay. The last peak high before the market gave, how big of a drop is this? So this market ended up giving about a 900 plus pip drop. Okay. 900 plus pip drop, right? Now, this is obviously still in a downtrend. Okay. Now, within this downtrend, there are going to be different things I like to be able to teach people. Okay. There's going to be something I want you guys to write down. It's going to be called trend line liquidity. Okay. A trend line liquidity basically means you have some people that want to be able to see the trend line get rejected off of. So here was the original, right? And then you basically had two areas right here that basically, essentially bounce off the trend line and continue dropping. Now, with that being said, that's one kind of person. So you got the one person that's like, okay, I want to wait for it to bounce back off the trend line, then I'm gonna sell it again. Then you got the other people like me, right? You're gonna be like, okay, I might not trade it off the trend line, but I might want to actually trade it through the trend line. What do I mean trade through the trend line? So this trend line can be looked at as liquidity, right? What does liquidity mean? Liquidity is basically stop losses that are from previous trades that people are still holding. So the market is going to usually go back and hit those stop losses. So if you can look at like this area right here, okay, it's like where there would be some possible money or possible stop losses. What I would like to see is, maybe we can get this market to break this trend line and continue going back up higher. Okay, because this trend line can be offered as stop losses that need to be hit. So one thing I just noticed is that we have the trend showing us it's a downtrend, but we also have a trend line showing us trend line liquidity. So I understand what the trend is. Now, you got to ask yourself, if I know it's a downtrend, am I looking for sales or am I looking for buys? In this situation, I was actually looking for buys. So I now know that I'm trading against the trend, which makes this a counter trend trade. So that's understood. You don't always have to trade with the trend, but you need to know what trend you're trading in, okay? Next thing I want to see is their liquidity sweep. What exactly do I mean by liquidity sweep, okay? Let me explain. A liquidity sweep is basically how I was mentioning earlier, is that's usually whenever the market is going to hit a previous stop loss, okay? So if you look at all of these little areas that were built up right here, all of these would have been represented by stop losses, okay? So the market basically looked at this as money that they wanted to go collect. So if you guys notice, you see that the market gave a very strong impulse move to the downside, about 250 plus pips in that direction. It is not by mistake that this was a consolidating market. As you guys can see, the market was in consolidation, okay? We can actually take it a step further and see how long it was in consolidation. So this market was actually in consolidation for about 20 days and 5 hours. So almost a month, about 3 weeks, this market was in straight consolidation. Built up liquidity to the top side, built up liquidity to the downside. But ultimately, the liquidity sweep happened to the downside. So when I asked, is there a liquidity sweep? We just validated that there clearly is one, okay? Now, the next thing I want to be able to see is, do we have divergence? If you know anything about me, then I absolutely love divergence. So what I'm about to do is I'm about to use an indicator called the RSI, okay? I'm going to use an indicator called the RSI. Now, this is going to be the RSI. Now, the RSI is going to work like this. You're going to have this white line. It's going to be zigzagging all over the place. If the white line comes outside of the purple box, then you could be looking for opportunities to possibly buy the market back up. If the white line comes outside of the top of the purple box, you could possibly be looking for opportunities to sell the market back down. So divergence is simply going to be whenever you have the chart doing one thing and you have the RSI doing something different. So one thing I want to be able to show you guys is if you guys look right here where it says candles, you can actually click on where it says candles. I can go hit the line. Now this is going to take it from candles to the line. Reason being is a lot of people don't realize these wicks are going to be happening while the candle is fluctuating. So when the market actually opens and closes, those wicks don't really have a whole lot to do with it. The line chart is going to show you exactly where the market opened, exactly where the market closed, so the wicks aren't all over the place. So it's going to give you more of an accurate price. So if I were to take my trend line tool and do this, even though you guys can't answer me because it's not a live Zoom call, ask yourself, is this going down or is this going up? Okay. Now it should be pretty obvious that this is going down. So from this point to this point, you can clearly see that the market is going down. Now, remember what I said it means to be able to identify divergence. Divergence is going to be whenever you have the chart going in one direction and have the RSI going in a different direction. So I think it is safe to say that we actually have divergence here, because if the chart is going up, what's the opposite of up, right? I mean, if the chart is going down, what's the opposite of down? Up. So if the chart is going down at the same time that the RSI is going up, that would be considered divergence. So we definitely have divergence, okay? Now, usually number 3 and number 4 are going to be hand in hand, but sometimes it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you may have divergence, but the market isn't in the extremes. Tyree, what do you mean by the extremes? The extremes simply are going to be anything outside of this purple box, okay? So you have the extremes up here, you have the extremes down here. If you see the white line go below this area or above this area, that counts as the extremes, okay? Reason why I like to see that is that means that the market is getting exhausted in that direction, and it might be having a strong willingness to reverse. Okay. How far and how deep it's going to reverse, who knows? But we do know reversal possibly can come. Now, the final one, as you guys can see, these are basically going to be on my subs. The final one is going to be institutional candle. All right. So with the institutional candle, what I want to be able to show you guys is, as I mentioned before, what exactly is an institutional candle? An institutional candle is going to be similar to this. So if you're looking at a bullish institutional candle, you're going to have a big green candle, and immediately to the left, you're going to have a smaller red candle. Okay. We're not talking about the wicks. We're just talking about the body of the candles. Now that we understand that this is what an institutional candle looks like, also called an engulfing candle, the way that I personally go about looking for an entry is through an institutional candle. I do not use imbalances with my specific trading style. That is something that people use. I don't trade off of imbalances. I trade off an institutional candle. So whenever I find all my confirmations from this 1 hour time frame, I'm not going to go to the left. I'm going to work my way up. So if you guys notice, I actually have every hour time frame up to the 12 hour. I wasn't going to do 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I just felt like that was a bit much. So with that being said, this is what I actually ended up focusing on. So as you guys can see, from the 1 hour time frame, I'm going to work my way up. The goal of it is I want to be able to find a good looking institutional candle on one of these hour time frames. And from there, since I've already gotten all my other confirmations, that's how I'm going to be able to decide if I'm actually going to get in the trade. Everything as of right now is just letting me know this could be a good opportunity. But if I don't see a good looking institutional candle, this is not a trade that I can take. Okay. So if I simply look at the 1 hour time frame, what you guys are going to notice is that we actually do have an institutional candle right here. Okay. Now, reason why this is not an institutional candle that I'm personally, excited about is because, first off, as you guys can see, the market has already started leaving from this candle. Second off, this has a really big wick on it. So one thing you guys are going to start noticing is the institutional candles that have a lot of wick on it. It doesn't mean that it's bad, but it also doesn't mean that it's necessarily great. So a lot of times I'm not the biggest fan of the wick being bigger than the candle. So for this reason, what I would simply do is I will move to the next time frame up. Now on the next time frame up, we can see once again, we have an institutional candle. Okay. Now the difference on this is going to be the wicks on these candles. Notice the wicks on these candles are rather small. This candle has a wick at the top and the bottom. They're rather small. This one really doesn't have one at the bottom. Now, we want to also be able to make sure, okay? So understand, we initially detected the divergence off the 1 hour time frame. We want to have that same divergence, assuming it's there, because it's not always going to be there. We want to have that on the same time frame we're looking to take the institutional candle off of. So notice how this institutional candle is on the 2 hour. If I were to go to the RSI and I can no longer see divergence on this 2 hour time frame, it is no longer valid as far as how I'm looking to trade. So if I look, you guys can see that we still have divergence. Now you can see the line is a little different. So if I actually, go ahead and adjust this line like so, you guys can see we still have divergence, right? And I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna go to the line chart. You guys can see we still have divergence. This is clearly still going down as this is clearly going up. Okay. Now, with that information being understood, okay, you're like, okay, Tyree, so now that you found an institutional candle, do you stop here or do you keep going? Well, usually what I like to do is I'm going to keep flipping through these time frames to see if there's any other ones that may look better. Needless to say, here's an institutional candle. But remember what I said, guys, I'm not a fan of having more wick than I have of the actual candlestick body. So all institutional candles are not to be perceived the same. Different people have different things that they like to see an institutional candle do. I do as well. So all of these time frames that you can see, right, have institutional candles. Okay. So the reason why I didn't pick any of these other institutional candles, as you guys can see, primarily is because at the time that these candles were forming, they had not closed yet. None of these candles had closed. The clock was still rotating. So these weren't valid institutional candles at the time that I saw them because the candle hadn't closed. The only valid candle at the time that I was looking at this market, right, was going to be this 2 hour time frame. Now, from this 2 hour time frame candle, The next thing I need to be able to focus on, okay, that I did not mention is going to be the session time, okay? Are we in the right session? So next thing I want you guys to do is look up in the top right corner. I'm going to put a video there that's going to actually show you guys and understand how session times work and things of that nature, so you guys can take advantage of it and be able to start trading the right time of day, because the whole setup can be invalidated if you're not trading in the right time of day. So from this institutional candle, what I want to be able to do is I like to start off by taking the 50% of the candle. So for those of you guys that don't understand how the 50% works, basically the same way a Fibonacci works, as far as you looking for a retracement for a continuation where you have, you know, your different levels. This one is only going to have the 50% retracement. It's not going to have the 61.8, the 88.6, only the 50%. Now, the concept of the 50% is this is going to be like the equilibrium of this candle. So you can actually look at this zone right here as an entire zone that you can look to enter, assuming that the market comes back to this area. You can look to take it for a buy. Okay, now we obviously need to get more refined than just looking for this zone. This zone is good, but you know, we actually need an entry, because for me, I like pending orders. I like buy limits and sell limits. I don't do buy stops, sell stops. I very rarely do market execution. Usually the only time I do market execution is if I'm seeing the setup late and it's already where I would have put a buy limit or sell limit. So I'm gonna just market execute. So there's two different ways that you can go about this, okay? The two best entries on this candle are going to be the opening of the candle, the institutional candle, the smaller candle to the left. That is going to be the opening of the candle, okay? Then you also have the 50% of the candle. These are going to be the two best entries to take on this candle. Whichever one you take, that's 100% up to you. Obviously, the stop loss will vary. Now, for me, what I like to do is whenever I see that I'm on the 2-hour time frame, okay, I want to be able to scale down to lower time frames to possibly see if there is any type of imbalance possibly within this zone. So if I draw this zone right now, I want to be able to see, is there any type of imbalance in this zone? So if I keep dropping down time frames, okay, we can actually see right here, there's actually an imbalance right here. So I can actually make this more refined. So here's an example of an imbalance. What is an imbalance? It's whenever you have a very large candle that has basically a gap in between it from the past two wicks. And in between this gap is an area that the market possibly could return to. So this can be an area that you could look at for an opportunity to take a buy. In reverse, you could have taken a sell, so on and so forth. We have another imbalance, okay? So if I focus between this wick and this wick, here's another imbalance. So needless to say, my objective is just to see, is there some type of imbalance within this 50% range? And from within this area, you can then look for opportunities to be able to buy the market back up, okay? Now, on the last video I did over USD JPY, I did not go over the stop loss. With the institutional candle, it's pretty straightforward. You're always going to put your stop loss literally right below the wick or the lowest point of that two candle formation. You don't need to add an extra bit for comfort. You just need to put it there. Now, I usually add spread, but I'll go over that on later videos, okay? I want to be able to try to keep these videos relatively short, and I'll try to add increasingly different things each video that I do. So with that being said, you guys have literally seen me mark this up down to the T. If I go back to the actual markup, this is what it ended up playing out like. So you guys can actually see where I have my entry, okay? You guys can actually see the wick entry that we got on this trade setup. So this is going to be called a wick entry. If you guys don't know what a sniper entry is, this is exactly what it looks like, right? Minimum drawdown, and then the market immediately took off and it never came back for about 160 pips, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys, right? I'm going to go ahead and take this tool, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how this ended up playing out, okay? So I'm going to hit that. You guys can see we got the reaction right there. And from that initial reaction, this market said Sara Nara baby, okay? Now, that's going to be an example of how I was actually able to take Eurocad for about 160 pips. And guess what? You actually would have had the ability to take advantage of the same trade I did. You want to know how? What I need you guys to do is I need you guys to go join my Telegram chat, okay? So my Telegram chat is going to be called Legacy Wealth Signals. You want to know how you can get included? I got you. I'm going to go ahead and put a screen recording right here. I would like you guys to go to my Instagram at official Tyree Samuels. I want you to go click on the Linktree link in my bio. Then I want you to go hit that option that says free Telegram signals or whatever. I want you guys to get into my Telegram. and take advantage of the signals. First thing I want you to do, I want you to click right here where it says pin message. I want you to read this, tap into the information. I actually created a YouTube playlist for you guys, right, to be able to go over, but I'm going to add more to it so you guys have a little bit better gauge of how to be able to take advantage of everything. Now, this specific setup, I called out. Every setup I put on this channel is not necessarily something I called out to the chat, but most of them will be. So right here, you guys can see Eurcad. So you guys can actually see, just so you guys know, the proof is in the pudding, okay? Pudding pops. I was trying to think of the thing Bill Cosby said. I really fumbled it on that one. But anyway, so pudding pops, okay? The proof is in the pudding. You guys can see the exact setup I just marked up to you guys, right? We have the take profits. Take profits are not something I'm going to dive into this video since it's running a little long, but you guys can see exactly what it looked like. You can see that you had advantage to take it, okay? Now, this was in the proper session time. It was 5:14 a.m., which was the London session. Perfect. You guys can see I gave you the exact entry. Stop loss was about 25 pips. And overall, you could have went for about a 7-to-1 risk to reward for about 180 pips, but it went for about 160 before it ended up reversing. And as of right now, it's about from entry, let's see. It's about 55 pips from entry, okay? Now, with that being said, I've shown you guys how to be able to come here, mark up a chart, take a trade. Also showing you guys how you can get the trades for free. Now, what I would appreciate is if you guys came here and you learned something, let me get you guys to go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I want you to be the first one to get notified next time I drop a video, which is going to be damn near every day, okay? I would appreciate you guys to go ahead and hit the like button because YouTube's algorithm works off the like button. So if you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. And don't forget, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. The like button and the thumbs up are hand to hand. It's like yin and yang, you feel me? Now, with that being said, I appreciate you guys for tapping into another video. It's not going to be long before I see y'all again because I'm going to see y'all at the top, not from the top. Because the bottom is way too crowded. Love, peace, and chicken grease. I holla.